Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel, Creative Minds with Emily Eva Makes. I'm Emily Eva, and you can find me as Emily Eva Makes on Instagram and on Ravelry. If you're coming back, thank you very much for waiting such a long time because it's been ages. I think the last one that I did, actually, it's not been so long for the English version. The Spanish version had much longer. The English version, I did one for Sevilla Teje about 2 or 3 months after the festival actually happened. But still, it's been several months since I've been here. So obviously there's a lot to talk about. Don't know if you can quite see, there's a pile of things here for me to show you. So it's probably going to be a long one. What I'm going to do to try and cut it down is I will show you the things that I've got, that I've finished and what I'm doing, but I'm not going to talk about all the details like a normal knitting podcast would, like needle sizes and the yarn and stuff. I'll tell you a couple of things, but I will try to put all that information down below. If not, all that information is usually on my Ravelry page. And if you still can't find anything or you have any other questions, feel free to send me a message and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. The thing is, if I talked just about the mental health side, I could be here for hours. And if I talked just about the knitting side, I could be here for hours. So I don't really know what to do. So I'm going to try and just talk about what's been going on the last few months, why I've not been here, and then show you all the different things I've been doing. There is a lot of knitting and crochet, but I'm going to talk about a different couple of things at the end as well. So I'll talk about everything that's been going on first, and then I'll show you the things that I've got, what I'm doing at the moment, and then at the end I'll talk about a couple of different things. But it still might be quite long. So for starters, as I say, I don't know when the last video was in English. I think it might have been July, but certainly it's been a few months. And the main reason for that is just because the summer here is awful. It's so hot and you just can't do anything. I didn't feel like knitting. I did some crochet, more than knitting, but I didn't feel like knitting very much. I felt more like trying to clear things out and do little things, and I went down a different rabbit hole instead. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah, you can't go out because it's too hot. You don't want to stay in because it's too hot. You don't want to do anything. It was just horrible. It really is. I don't know why I live here. And that is part of the reason for the rabbit hole that I just mentioned, is that the summer comes round and I just go, what am I doing here? This is ridiculous. How do I live here? Every time the summer comes, I just think it's ridiculous. So I started thinking about, when am I going to stay here forever? Do I want to stay living here the rest of my life? And I honestly can't believe that I've stayed here as long as I have in the first place. And I certainly don't want to be here for the rest of my life. So then I started thinking about, okay, but if I went, where would I go? What would I do? I found a job that I absolutely love. I love teaching English, but I don't have a million different qualifications to back that up. It's mostly experience rather than qualifications that I've got. So I started looking at maybe studying. What could I go and study? So I went down this huge rabbit hole of looking at different courses and different things that I could do, whether I could do stuff online, whether I could go in person, funding for these things, because also, I'm sure I've mentioned before, I have a chronic illness, an illness that causes chronic pain. And I know my limits, so I know that I can either work or I can study, but I really can't do both. Even if it's part-time in both, it gets too much, and I can't deal with it. So I either need to just devote my time to studying or stay working. And even working, I can't do full-time, which is one of the reasons why this job I've got at the moment is perfect, because I only do afternoons, and then I can dot around extra classes when and where I can and when I need to. Which is just perfect. But studying full time, I think, would kill me as well. And if I study full time, how do I pay the rent? How do I pay for food and stuff? How do I pay for debts I've got to pay? Credit cards and stuff, So in the end, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything. It kind of gave up on that idea. But I did go down a very long rabbit hole and spent a good month of the summer looking at different courses and different options and different funding things and trying to work out whether it would be possible. I even did a couple of short courses that you can do online for free. And I was also studying languages. I was studying French and Italian again, trying to make that into a habit, which was great all summer. And then the minute we got back to September, and I went back to work, I just stopped studying. I haven't done any studying since we went back to work. But I did really enjoy that. And in terms of, as I say, knitting and crocheting things, I didn't really do very much, very little knitting. If I did do any knitting, it was trying to finish off old projects that I'd had for ages that I hadn't touched for a long time, which is why I've got a million finished objects to show you. Actually, I don't have as many as I had when I did the Spanish version a couple of weeks ago, because some of them have been given away as presents since then. So I don't have as many here, but there were a lot of finished objects. Because I was just trying to clear things out. I reorganised my stash 2 or 3 times. The last reorganisation made me realise just how many things I had pending to either finish or to repair. And I ended up undoing a couple of things that were supposed to be for repair. I decided they've been in here for such a long time. I'm clearly not going to get around to doing it. I clearly don't miss them. These are not things that I really want. So I undid them. And by the end of that, I had a huge bag of little mini balls of wool, about that big, particularly because one of the things that needed repairing was a huge scarf that was multicoloured, worked with minis. It was the Unicorn Shawl by Stephen West Knits. So I undid all of that, and I had all these little minis, and I thought, I need to do something with these. I need some other pattern to do something with these. So I went and found a blanket pattern. The little hexagon blanket pattern. So I've been doing that. I also spent a lot of time, I did more crochet than knitting. I don't know why. It's not like it's any cooler working crochet than it is working knitting, but I went on a bit of a crochet spurt. So there's lots of crochet things to show you. Maybe because they're generally smaller, but there's one thing that's rather big, so that doesn't really count. I don't know. Anyway, but I did lots of crochet. And the other thing was, apart from the studying, which took up a lot of my time, the other thing was just colouring or drawing. You know, I didn't want to have yarn around me all the time. I wanted to do something different. So, I mean, it was kind of a relaxing summer. I didn't have a lot going on, and I managed to do lots of little different things that I enjoy doing, and I watched an awful lot of TV and films, but at the same time, very frustrating because you just feel like you can't do anything. And of course, I don't have as much work in the summer. So even if I did feel like I could go out and do something in the evening, for example, I don't feel like I have the money to do that kind of thing. So just the whole summer at home, basically, was pretty awful, I've got to say. I need to do something different next year. I need to go somewhere else. I don't know. Problem is we have a cat, so I can't just go away for a week and leave him on his own. But I don't know. I'll have to sort something out because I can't take another summer like that. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, so mental health has been a bit up and down, but it was fairly relaxing, so it's not too bad. And since I've been back at work and the temperature started to change, it's been much better. I've been in a much better mood recently, and I'm getting much more into lots of different projects. So that was a quick summary, much quicker than I expected, actually. That'll do. So I've got time to show you all the different things. We'll start off with what I'm wearing, which is actually an experiment. It's something that I've made myself. I made it up as I went along. Just a little summer tank top. This is a linen yarn from Knit Crate when I used to get the Knit Crate subscription, which I have a feeling doesn't exist anymore. Is that right? Because I keep seeing people saying stuff about missing Knit Crate. I don't know. I miss it too, but I can't afford it. Well, I can, but I shouldn't be spending money on things like that. So anyway, this is something that I just made up as I was going along. It's got lots of moss stitch in it. I haven't written a pattern, and I don't think I'm going to because I'm not totally happy with it. I do like the moss stitch on the straps, but of course it makes it much stretchier than I realised before I started doing it. So of course it's difficult to work to the right measurements, and to, even if you swatch and block, it still will stretch even more, especially with this kind of linen yarn, and it's a chainette construction, the yarn, so it's even stretchier. But I mean, it looks good. I don't mind it how it is. I quite like it. It's good enough to wear. I did some weird short rows in the front that I'm not happy with. I did moss stitch in a panel down the side, which again I'm not happy with because at the top it stretches out and then at the bottom it pulls back in again, so it looks a bit strange. And then I did some increases towards the end to kind of give it a little bit more of a flare, but I've ended up with a bit of a kind of ruffle at the back, which again I'm not totally happy with, but never mind. So this was just an experiment. I've thought about maybe calling it Summer Moss, but as I say, I'm not going to write it up, so it doesn't really matter whether it has a name or not. The next thing is another top that I did with that lovely yarn from Irish Fairy Tale Yarns, which is a sparkle sock merino. I'm just going to put things on top of each other. This is called the Contractorium top, which I absolutely love, especially with all its sparkle. Look how it sparkles. Gorgeous. The colourway is Witchcraft. And I actually made another one of these in the same yarn but different colourway, Nightfall, for my aunt. And the best thing about this is all the lace at the back. Can you see all those different lace patterns? Loads and loads of different lace patterns. So it makes it quite stretchy. It's actually possibly a little bit too big for me now, but hey, I don't care. It looks nice and it's all sparkly. And it's very comfortable being a little bit bigger than it needs to be. So yeah, that was a brilliant pattern. I do have one more top, but before I put that one on, I'm going to show you cardigans because they look much better with a dark colour underneath. I have finally finished the crochet cardigan that I was doing months and months ago. Doesn't it look good? This is the one where I had a problem because I did the back too short and then there wasn't room for the neck, so I had to undo all of that and then redo the back and the front, the second front, and then do all the sleeves and everything and the ribbing around the neck. But it's finally finished and it looks quite good. It fits really, really well. You can't quite see the bottom one too close, never mind. And it's got little pockets, which do add a little bit of bulk to the front, so you get a bit of an odd shape here. But she mentioned that in the pattern and she said, you know, you can just leave the pockets off. And somebody else said to me, well, why didn't you just do a patch pocket on the front instead? Which probably would have been a better idea, but it's a bit late now, so I don't mind the pockets as they are. You can see them a little bit, but it's fine. And sometimes I get a little bit of a shawl pin and just close it there. I haven't put any buttons on. The pattern isn't written for buttons, so there's no buttonholes. But I mean, you could easily add like toggles and an extra loop of yarn or something, or I just use the shawl pin to close it up. So this is the Café Lait Cardigan pattern by Breann Mauldin, which is a free pattern on her blog, but obviously you have to deal with all the adverts. So there is an option to buy the pattern as a PDF instead. I just use it on the blog because I don't care. It's a fairly easy pattern repeat to remember. So I only had to look at it a couple of times really. Once you get going, you know what the pattern is, and I only had to stop and look at it again when it came to putting in the pocket or when it came to putting in the sleeve hole, the armhole rather, and then when it came to doing the ribbing. But I mean, for most of the time, we didn't need to look at the pattern, so I don't mind if it's on a blog and I've got to deal with adverts because I'm not going to it every 5 minutes. So that one is finally done, and I was able to wear it for a good month or so before it got too cold, and now it's not enough. I'm actually not too bad at the moment with only a couple of tops on, but the last few days this week has been really cold all of a sudden. We do not get autumn here. It goes from summer to winter in about a week. Anyway, this is the other one. This is the Triana Cardigan, which again I think I showed you in progress, but I don't think you've seen it finished. This is by Marina Storm, StormKnittingArt, and she launched it at Sevilla Deje, that knitting festival that I went to in Seville. I made it out of, again, Irish Fairy Tale yarns, like the Contractorium top, but this is just 100% merino, I think. And the colour is called Dalmatian. So again, this is really nice. And again, I got to wear it for about a week, maybe 2 weeks before I got too cold, and now it's not enough. But it is really nice, and this yarn is really, really soft. And I got a little bit addicted to this lace pattern as well. So yeah, it took a little while to get into it because they're quite long rows, obviously, because you're starting from one side, going all the way around the back and to the other side. And she recommends that you wear it with quite a lot of ease. So I had to make a bigger size than I would for a normal top so that you get this nice drape. And I think that is pretty much the perfect size, to be honest. But it means the rows are very, very long. So it took a while to get into it. But once I got a couple of inches in, maybe, I got a little bit addicted to the lace pattern and couldn't put it down at all. So we finally got that one done. And then I've got my Lidia Tee. This is a pattern by Juana Román, who is one of my translation clients here in Spain. She lives in Seville. This is made out of linen yarn from Tanana Yarns, which is an indie dyer here in Granada. And I did it in 2 different colours. I don't know the names of the colourways. I don't think it even said on the tag, to be honest. But anyway. So this is the Lidia Tee, which again is made with quite a bit of positive ease. It looks a little bit big, but it's very comfortable like this. I did actually make another one of these previously, but I didn't have enough yarn, so it ended up being quite a cropped top, and I didn't like it as much. And that was in merino rather than linen and bamboo, and the difference in the drape of the yarn is incredible. This is much better in a linen, bamboo, cotton, something like that. It gives it a much better drape. And it's got beautiful shoulder details, and this has 2 versions. This is the front in both versions, but on the back you've got the V. This is the shorter V, which means you can wear it with the V in the front. But there's also a version with a longer V, which obviously can only be one in the back, unless you want to show everything off, because it's going to be down here somewhere. So I did the short V. I quite like it with the V in the front, but I like it this way as well, because when you have the V in the front, you don't have this lace detail all down the front, which I also really like. So it's nice that it's reversible. Okay, so that's the cardigans and all the tops. I also finished, well, I started and finished, I think, since the last time you guys saw me, the Flamingo Shawl by Marianela Gallo, who again is a client of mine. Absolutely gorgeous. This is from her this year's collection called the Instinct Collection, which is all about, it's all inspired by migratory animals, and this year has all been about animals that migrate by air. So this was based on the flamingos. She also had the monarch butterfly shawl, which is absolutely beautiful. The golondrina top. Golondrina means swallow, as in the little bird. What else did she have? We had the golondrina top. We had the flamingo shawl, monarch shawl. There's something new coming soon that I can't tell you about. There's another one. I can't think what it is. Anyway, Instant Collection. And this is absolutely beautiful. So as you go through the pattern, it gives you information about the flamingos and about their life and their migration. And each different section is inspired by a different part of their story. So this is their feathers, for example. Here we've got their nests. Here we've got representation of the kind of ground that they live on usually. Or was that this bit? I'm not sure. That might be these last 2 bits. And also you've got like the centre spine is supposed to be representative of the leg. They normally stand on one leg, obviously. So yeah, that's the flamingo shawl, which I absolutely love. I have a million shawls because I used to knit almost exclusively shawls, and I've got a drawer full of them. I keep giving them away, and I've still got a drawer full of them. But every time I finish one, that ends up being the one that I have lying around like near the door when I'm going out or something, and I will just grab the same one again and again and again. I'm thinking I need to get some kind of display rack or something so I can have them all on site and be able to pick and choose, because I just end up wearing the same one all the time, although, you know, it is gorgeous, so why not? And it goes with everything. I love this one. Beautiful, beautiful shawl. But I really want the monarch butterfly one as well. That's also gorgeous. But I need special yarn for it because that one really deserves a nice special yarn, and I don't have enough. I need 2 skeins. Excuse me. The other thing I finished, again, I think I showed you the beginnings of this. Maybe I'd even finished it, but I hadn't blocked it at the time. This is the Chal Sur, which is also Juana Román of Andoliando, who did the Lidia Tee as well. This is a pattern that was an official pattern for the Sevilla Teje Yarn Festival. And it's inspired by the, I don't know the name in English, Jacaranda in Spanish. It's a tree with little purple flowers, and this is the exact colour of those flowers. And you would see them, they bloom around May, which is the time when the festival was, and you would see them fall from the tree, and there'd just be like pools of these purple flowers all over the floor in the street. It was gorgeous. So yeah, and this is a perfect representation. This was a collaboration with Robledal de la Santa, who dyed the yarn and dyed this special colourway for this pattern. And Nella's mum, Amelia, actually gifted me the yarn for this. She called me over at the festival and said, "Which one do you like?" I was like, "Why?" And she went, "Because I want to buy you something," and gave me this skein of yarn. Beautiful. So I made that. But again, I've been picking up the flamingo shawl every time I go out. I haven't really worn this one, to be honest. This yarn is a little bit, ever so slightly scratchy. But I think with a little bit more wear, it will soften up a bit. It's not too bad. I can have it next to the skin, but it's just a little bit scratchier than the other one. This one has got silk and stuff in it, so this is a lot softer. This dark purple, which was the colourway for Madrid, Love Yarn Madrid by Tanana Yarns, has silk and merino and possibly something nice like alpaca, maybe. I'm not sure. It had something else in it, but I can't remember what it was in that base. But it's very, very soft. So if I'm going to pick a shawl quickly to wear, I do tend to go for the flamingos rather than this one. But I do still love this one. It is beautiful. And that colour is just perfect. So those are my shawls. I think I can sit down again now. Excuse the wobbly camera while I sit down. So those are all the shawls and the tops. That's all the clothes that I've got, really. And then I was just finishing off silly little things. So one thing that I did, which is just a silly little thing, and again, no pattern, was just this little crochet rectangle thing. You can see I've not even woven in the end there. I don't care. This is just like a cover for my laptop because I didn't have a specific cover for my laptop. And I was worried about traveling with it or just leaving it on the shelf and putting things on it and the laptop getting scratched or bumped or whatever. So I just whipped this up in crochet. This is just an acrylic yarn that I've had for years. It's probably Sirdar because I used to buy a lot of Sirdar and so did my grandma, and I don't even know if I bought this or she did. But it's just acrylic, basically. It might be Sirdar bonus or something. I have no idea. Anyway, but yeah, this was just, I chose a crochet stitch, did a kind of rectangle for the base, and then just went round and round and round till I got to the top. And then I started going back and forth just to add this extra flap over the top. It's nothing special. It's not like the perfect fit, but it works perfectly fine. So that's something that I spent some time on, just a little thing to keep me entertained, basically, while it was too hot. And then I did lots of hats. I finished lots of hats. Unfortunately, 2 of them have already gone to other people. So I can't show you all of them. I did have an anthology hat by Tin Can Knits, which is a great pattern because it's a colourwork hat and it basically gives you the instructions for the hat at different yarn weights, I believe. It might have just been DK, but I think it was at different yarn weights. And then it gives you a whole load of different colourwork options, different charts and motifs, and you can just kind of pick and choose. And you can do one and repeat it several times, or just one and then plain one colour either side, or you can mix and match 2 or 3 different motifs depending on how long you want your hat to be. So I had that, which I know was made with Martin's Lab yarn, which had alpaca in it and was gorgeous, so soft. But that has gone to my aunt because as soon as she saw it and felt the alpaca, she went, "This is so soft, lovely. What is it?" I was like, "That's got alpaca in it, that's why." She went, "I've fallen in love with it." Okay, well, you have it then, that's fine. So she's got that one. And I also did a Tin Min beanie by Robledal with yarn from Trellis in, I don't know which colourway was it. It might have been Birthday Girl colourway, I'm not sure. But it was kind of multicoloured, mostly orange with a couple of speckles of different colours. And I did that for my granddad and he absolutely loved it. So I gave that to him last weekend. So he's got that one. So I can't show you those. I can show you this one, which I made up myself. This was after doing the Contractorium top, this one. It's the same yarn. This is pretty much what I had left over. I may now have like the tiniest little ball left, but I wanted to use up what I had. And I figured this was quick and easy. And I was really enjoying one of the lace patterns on the back of this top. So I thought I'll just take that lace pattern and turn it into a hat. So it's just kind of a mesh lace. You can see there. Really fun to do. And I just, I looked at other hats that I've done in the past and had a guess at, you know, roughly how many stitches I needed to cast on for a fingering weight yarn, and made sure it was the right multiple for the lace repeat. And I made up the creases at the top a little bit at random to try and do that. I will put it on and show you, but I really don't have a face for hats. I don't know why I make so many hats, because I never wear them. But the idea is that it's nice and slouchy. Got all that at the back there. But I also did a really long brim, so you can fold up the brim. And still have it looking quite nice at the back. It doesn't look that bad on me. Maybe I suit hats a little bit more now I've lost a little bit more weight. I don't know. But I basically never wear hats. Although this will be mine because I'm terrible and I smoke. And in the winter here it's freezing. So when I go outside for a smoke, I do tend to grab a hat. But it's the only time I wear a hat. I don't wear it out in public if I'm just out in the street during the day when it's cold. Maybe I will start to. I don't know. I just feel weird in hats. I don't feel like they suit me. Anyway, whatever. So this, again, is my own experimental design. I've used the lace pattern, one of the lace patterns from the Contractorium top. But I'm not going to write up a pattern for this. I'm not a designer at the end of the day. I experiment sometimes and make things randomly. But I'm not a designer. I'm not going to write patterns and publish them. I'm not going to give it a name either. It's just lace mesh hat. That's what I think that's what I called it on Ravelry. So yeah, there will be no pattern. But anyway, there's a nice hat. And then I did the Rosette hat from Beagle Knits. This is in the leftover yarn from the advent calendar that I did last year or the year before. I think it was the year before. It was their first advent calendar. They're from Save the Sheep. The pattern is from Beagle Knits, and Nicole, the time weaver, dyes the yarn, and together they do the company Save the Sheep, where they're trying to make different sheep breeds more visible and increase visibility to different sheep breeds, especially ones that are in danger of extinction or just in danger, basically, and to help out the shepherds and stuff a little bit. So they get these kits together, and Antonio of Beagle Knits will make a pattern, and Nicole will dye the yarn, and then they do kits, and they quite often do a mystery knit along for an advent calendar, which is what the first one was. So this is my leftover yarn from that advent calendar. That advent calendar was a big triangular shawl with these two colours, and the wool is Rosette. The Rosette is the name of the breed of sheep. And just recently he brought out this pattern for the hat, and of course I still had some yarn left over, so I said, why not? Again, I'm probably not going to wear it, but it's just a nice little beanie style, and this is a gorgeous little lace pattern, lace triangles on there. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but there we go. It's a nice little hat. I don't know if you can get much more of that particular wool now, because that was a couple of years ago, and they tend to do a different breed each year, different breed with a different collection. But have a look at Save the Sheep and see if they've got any left. And then I finally wove in ends and blocked this hat that I had finished years ago, and I mean years ago. And this is tiny. I don't know who could even wear it, like maybe a little kid perhaps, but like it's not even going to go on my head. See, it doesn't work. This is, I probably shouldn't tell you who it's by because it never got published. This was a test knit that I did for someone, and then they decided not to publish it in the end. And it's just been sat in a bag waiting for me to actually weave in ends and block it forever. And I finally, because I was cleaning things out and organising my stash, I finally got around to doing it. So it's meant to be a kind of like Christmas hat style, but with this little cable detail on the front, which I think is really cute. I don't know why they didn't publish it in the end, but never mind. And actually, it is quite stretchy in the body, but my cast on is not stretchy enough. And this is what messes it up. But of course, because it's the cast on, it's not going to be easy to undo and redo it in a different way. So I'm not sure. I think it might just have to stay like this. And you know, if anyone's got a little kid that thinks they might like this, that has quite a small head, let me know. I can send it on to you. But otherwise, this is just going to sit in a cupboard somewhere. I don't know, with the russet hat, because I don't know what to do with them. But hey, I just like making hats. I love making hats. They're quick and easy. Hats for me are sock knitting for other people. Other people are addicted to knitting socks because they're small, portable things and it's relaxing. You don't have to do much, or you can do a patterned one if you want to. But a vanilla sock is just easy. But I just hate doing socks. I think it's because of the fingering weight yarn, which I don't mind in other things, but because it's on such a small needle and it's magic loop all the time. Well, I mean, you could do it different ways, but I hate DPNs, for example, and I don't think I'd want to do 2 circs. It's no different really to magic loop. I have made socks, but I just don't enjoy it, and I think it's because it's so small. I think it hurts my hands more working at a small gauge. Whereas hats, quite often a DK, maybe even an Aran. I mean, this one was a chunky weight. It took no time at all. They're quicker to do than socks, and they're easier on the hands because it's usually a larger needle size. Even if you've got a fingering weight hat like this one, the purple one, this is a fingering weight yarn, but I still didn't use like a 2.75mm needle. I used probably a 4. I don't know exactly, but you know, I just find them quicker and easier to do and more fun, and they don't hurt my hands as much. However, having said that, I don't like working on as such a small gauge. I did finally finish the mittens that I was working on in the video, in Nella's video, when I appeared on her podcast like a year ago, before I started doing my own channel. I was making these mittens by I always forget which way around it is. Is it lattes and llamas or llamas and lattes? One of the two. Anyway, and they do this thing called the Geek Along once a year, which started off with blanket squares, and it's been going since 2014 or something now, I think. So they've got loads and loads of different colourwork patterns for blanket squares, and then they also started branching out into other things as well. So there's various mitten patterns, and I just fell in love with this one, and they are just gorgeous. I love them to bits. So here they are. This is the palm side, lovely geometrical pattern, and on the other side we have the cats, like the Chat Noir poster, that famous poster. I think that's what it's based on. These are the Cat Nouveau mitts, as I say, by llamas and lattes, lattes and llamas. I don't know which one around, one of the two. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. And I've been researching them and looking at I want to buy their yarn, but of course they're in the States, so it's going to cost a lot of money to get their yarn. But I've been looking more at all their different patterns, and they usually, the Geek Along is blanket squares of all different fandoms, sci-fi stuff and whatever. But one year, I don't know, I think it was 2020, they decided instead of a blanket, they were going to do a sweater as a mystery knit along, and they published it for free. It's a free pattern. It's called 8-bit. These were not free; these I bought, but the knit alongs that they do are free patterns, and you can just go and download all of the different blanket squares. You can go and download every part of this sweater pattern, the 8-bit pattern, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I just haven't quite decided what colours to do it in, so I haven't got around to it yet. Anyway, this one is very tight because I wasn't paying attention when I was working in Magic Loop in the round. I was not paying attention to my floats, and you can even see here that it's got a little dip, and that's where, you see how it dips in? That's because my floats are too tight, which is why it's difficult to get on and off. But I did this one first. I learned from it on the second one, so this one will come on and off no problem, but this one, very difficult. But hey, I can still get it on. It's just a little bit of a fight, and once it's on, it's fine. And this is made in different yarns that I had left over from other things. I know the red is Lolo Did It, Red Wine, which is my favourite red ever, and I wish I could get more of it, but again, she's in the States, so it's going to cost a fortune. But it is just beautiful, that red. I don't know if you can properly see it because I'm losing the light a little bit here, but it's just the most beautiful red. The grey might be leftovers from Sokuna Troca, but I'm not entirely sure. Sokuna Troca is, I think are they Portuguese or Spanish? I don't know. I met them at Sevilla Teje, and they do their own hand-dyed yarn, and it's all beautiful, beautiful colours. And I bought a lot of it to do my go-to raglan sweater in. The base colour was the grey, and then I marled it with purples and greens and stuff. And I think that's what this is left over, because it's grey but with like little touches of blue and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's that yarn, but I could be wrong. It might be another Lolo Did It. I don't know, but I think it's that City Sky from Sokken Stroker. And the white, which is got the little nets in it, it's a tweed yarn, is from Mothie and the Squid, who are based in Scotland, who I absolutely love. Again, difficult to get their yarn because I'm in Spain, they're in Scotland, because of stupid Brexit. Everything costs a fortune, so I don't buy things from the UK anymore, which is a real shame, because her yarn is absolutely gorgeous. I've had a few things from her, and the best thing, I love just going on Instagram and looking at her feed and going through all the different yarn colours, because she'll have an inspiration picture for each one, and sometimes it's flowers, sometimes it's a landscape, sometimes, quite often, it's an animal or an insect or something, and she just manages to capture those colours beautifully. One of my favourite dyers. So if you can get Mothie and the Squid, please do, because it is absolutely gorgeous. But unfortunately, that is going to have to be a special treat for me in the future. It's not something I can get easily. Maybe if I go to the UK, I can have some delivered to my dad's house and then pick it up when I go there. But I have no plans anytime soon to go to the UK, so it's not going to happen. But anyway, if you can get Mothie and the Squid, please do. It is absolutely gorgeous, all of them. All of her yarn is gorgeous. And we're almost at the end of all the things I've been making. I told you there were a lot. The last thing I have to show you is another crochet thing, is a little toy. Isn't he cute? This is Toby Bear. That is the name of the pattern, Toby with an I at the end. I cannot remember the designer. I don't know where I got the pattern. It's something that I downloaded years ago and never got around to making. I assume it was a free pattern if I just downloaded it straight away but then didn't make it. Normally, if I'm going to actually pay for a pattern, it's because I really want to make it and I'll make it immediately. If I've got things that I've downloaded and then not made immediately, it's probably because it was a free pattern and I went, well, why not? So I think it's a free pattern, but I don't know. Have a look on my Ravelry to find out who it was. But this, I did exactly, followed the pattern exactly, even the embroidery, this is what it looks like on the pattern, the way she did the eyebrows and the eyes and everything. My sewing skills are not the best, but, you know, I tried, and he looks quite cute. And this is just done with an acrylic kind of velvet touch yarn that I found in one of the big bazaars here. And it's just so soft. I'd seen other people making amigurumi toys with this velvety yarn, and I thought that must be amazing. I'm going to have to try. So I went and got some and thought this is the perfect thing to try it on, and I absolutely adore it. When was it my aunt or my friend? I don't know. Somebody saw it, and they had a baby coming in the family, not them, but someone in the family had a baby coming, and they were like, "Can I buy the bear off you?" And I'm like, "No." I don't think you can. No, I'm too attached to it. I just love it. It's so cute and it's so soft, and it just I love cuddling it. I sometimes take it to bed like I'm a child. I don't care, and just playing with its ears is just the best. So I was like, no, maybe if I make another one in the future, you can have it, or you can buy it from me, but I'm gonna put like a really high price on it because I don't really want to part with it. So yeah. He's stayed with mine. Instead, I ended up making some baby cardigans, which again, I don't have. I was at my grandma's at some point in the summer. I think I was working on the Triana cardigan. So I took this with me. I think it was this that I took with me to my grandma's, and I was going to be there for like 3 or 4 days maybe. And I thought that I had enough left to go on this that would do me for 3 or 4 days, for however long I was there. Nope. Finished it the same day. Same day I arrived, I finished that, and then I was like, okay, now what? And I only had with me the needles that I was using for that, and I only had that yarn. There wasn't a huge amount left. There were 2 little mini balls left of that Dalmatian yarn. And I was like, now what? But I'm at my grandma's. She's got a ton of straight knitting needles if I need a different size, or I've got the circular needles that I took with me. And she's got a chest full of like random bits of yarn. I think it's pretty much all acrylic because she tended to do she just doesn't really care about all the different kinds of fibers. So she tended to do acrylic stuff, and she also did a lot of toys and things, so it makes sense to do acrylic. So she had this chest full of yarn. I was like, oh, I'm just going to stash dive and see what she's got, and then see what patterns I've got. And I had a couple of baby patterns downloaded again. I'm assuming they were free at some point. Didn't have anyone in mind, didn't know if anybody was expecting a baby in their family or anything. Just thought, here's a nice yarn. That'll use the needles that I brought with me. It's the right size for that. That'll go with this pattern that I've got. Perfect, let's do it. And it turned out to actually be the same lace pattern as the Triana cardigan on the two fronts. It was a little baby cardigan, and the two fronts had this lace pattern, and it turned out to be basically the same pattern as the Triana. So I'd already been addicted to that. I got quite into doing this baby cardigan, and I think I made it in one afternoon, perhaps. Or maybe, well, a day at least. I'd certainly finished it by the time I left there. And then, again, didn't know what to do. I ended up doing something else, I think. I don't think I knit anymore that particular trip at my grandma's. I waited till I got back to do something else. But yeah, I made this baby cardigan just because I had nothing else to do. And then my aunt saw it and said, "Oh, this person's so-and-so's having a baby. Can I buy that off you?" Like, yeah, absolutely. And somebody else saw it when I finished it and gave it to her, when I'd blocked it and gave it to her, and they went, "Oh, that's gorgeous. Can you make me one as well? I've got someone having a baby." So I ended up making another one, exactly the same, in exactly the same yarn. And again, it took me like an afternoon, two maybe. Super easy to do. So I've been doing loads of things, but lots of things have been given away. Anyway, that's it for what I have to show you that's finished. Thank goodness, we're like 40 minutes already. The Spanish version of this video was like an hour and a half or something, so I'm not surprised. But I think I can talk a little bit faster in English, so we're doing all right. So let's get into what I'm on at the moment. I went from, there were several parts over the summer where I was trying to kind of clean things out and get rid of stuff. I went from a point where I had absolutely nothing on the needles because I cleared everything, finished everything, and I was doing one project at a time to finish it and block it and get it done. So there came a point where I had absolutely nothing on the needles and I could start afresh. And I'm now back to a point where I've got 6 projects on the go, which is much more normal for me. I've never been like only one project at a time. This year I have been a little bit more that way than I used to be. I always used to dot between projects, but I think since I got more into knitting garments, into knitting actual tops and things, I really want to wear them. So I've been much more monogamous this year when I'm doing a top or a jumper or something, because I really want to finish it and get it on. So these I pretty much only worked on one thing at a time until I finished it. But now I keep having different ideas and I've started different things, and I'm not really making a huge amount of progress on most of them. Actually, when I did the Spanish version of this video, which was about 3 weeks ago, because I haven't really had time, plus I spoke for like an hour and a half, so by the end of it I was losing the light, which I'm going to do today as well. Never mind. So I had to stop early. At that point, I said that there was this one pattern. I was doing a couple of tops, or I'd started a few things, and I'll show you which ones they are now. I'd started 2 or 3 different things, but none of them were getting any love because I started this blanket, which I mentioned earlier, and I was just addicted to it. I couldn't put it down. And then pretty much since the day that I did that podcast, so like 3 weeks ago, I've barely touched the blanket. I then went back to one of the tops that I talked about in that podcast and did loads more on that, nearly finished it. And the only reason I haven't finished it is because I ran out of yarn and I need to go and buy some more, but I don't know where to get it from. I found a website where I can order it online and have it sent over, but I only need one. So it's going to cost me like the same in shipping as it is for the ball of yarn, which is annoying. So I'm waiting to see if I have an inspiration for buying something else from their website so it feels like it's more worth it. I feel like I don't mind as much paying for the shipping if I'm getting several things at a time. But if I've got to pay the same amount of shipping as for the yarn, I don't want to do it. So I'm waiting to see if I get inspiration for something else that I could buy on their website, because I only need one ball. And in the meantime, I'll see if I can find it in a local shop. But so far, there's been no luck. Anyway, so the blanket that I was addicted to until I did that last podcast is living in this beautiful bag by Amelia Aile Mallorca. Oh, does it say on there? No, it doesn't say on there. Anyway, that just says made with love. Here it is. There's her tag. Aile Mallorca, which is absolutely gorgeous. Oof. She doesn't make project bags very often, And when she does, she'll just kind of put them all up on Instagram, and it's kind of first come, first serve sort of thing. And then that's it, they're gone. And I saw them come up on Instagram, and I thought, I really, really want one. And in fact, it was this one that I was drawn to, this and one more, but this one I really liked. But I thought, no, I can't justify that expense right now. No, I'm not going to. Let somebody else have it. I've already got one of her bags anyway. No. And then we met up on a Saturday morning. We had a little knitting group meeting. And she said, I've got one left, only one left. Everything else is gone. And I don't understand why I've got this one left and nobody seems interested. And I was like, which one? So she showed me and I went, oh my God, that's the one I wanted. Like, this is a sign, I have to have it. So she gave it to me. So in this bag is living my Safe Space blanket by Skein-Anigans, which I think, because of the name Safe Space, I think maybe it was brought out during the pandemic as a kind of comfort knit. And it's all these little hexagons, and she's designed it at 2 different weights. You can do it in fingering like this or in DK. The pattern's written for both. And it's very clever because you join as you go. You start down here is where I started. You do this one hexagon, and then you join up to the next one. And there's a method in the pattern for weaving in your ends as you go. So you join this yarn to start knitting your next hexagon, and you weave in the ends of the 2 as you go, and then when you finish that, you go to the next one. Oh, that's not the first column I did. This is the last column I did. Started right over here. Anyway, then you do 1 column and go all the way up for as long as you want to go. And if you're not sure how long you want it to go, you can leave the stitches on a stitch holder or something, and then you go back down to the bottom and you start another one, and again you join it to the first hexagon, to the first column as you go. And you've got, in the pattern, you can do half hexagons like this so that you get a straight edge, or you can just do whole hexagons and you can have that as a gap. I decided to do the half hexagons, and then you just go all the way up to the top and then back down to start a new column. And I was addicted for a while. As you can see, I've done quite a bit, and I'm just trying to use up all those different scraps. And I was getting really addicted to, the pattern is really simple and you just remember it immediately. I don't have to look at the pattern again now. Excuse me. But B, I was getting really addicted to just searching in the bag and finding a new colour and looking at the colours I've got already and go, what should I have next? I need to go more yellow again. I need to go pink again. I could do with something a bit darker. And she even gives advice in the pattern about how to choose your colours and whether you should plan it out or not. She suggests that you probably should plan it out, but I don't want to. I don't want to plan it out. I just want to pick and choose as I go and see what happens. So I'm running the risk, as she said in the pattern, of the overall look being a kind of brown colour if you end up using all the different colours. She said at the very least, try to see whether most of your colours are warm colours or cold colours, and kind of stick to one or the other. So mine mostly are warm colours, but I've got quite a few little balls of the cool colours as well. So I'm trying to put those in kind of at the edges so I don't have a total mishmash in the middle, but I can use all the different colours. So I do still really love it, and I am going to work on it more, but I'm not quite as addicted as I was when I did the Spanish version of this episode a couple of weeks ago, because I talked about in that episode how this top wasn't getting any love. And then I thought, that's a real shame. I need to give this top some more love. So then I started working on this. This is living in my Paloma Liranzo bag with the gorgeous cats on it, getting tangled in yarn, which is what my cat loves to do. I bought this from Sevilla Teje. It's going to be a theme. I've only been to Sevilla Teje and La Villa Madrid. They're the only festivals I've been to. So most of the stuff that I've got is probably going to be from there. Anyway, this is the Lidia Tee by Juana Román of Andoliando, which is absolutely gorgeous in a cotton, 100% cotton yarn. These sleeves are supposed to be folded in and sewn on so that you get this kind of double folded sleeve. And I would like to do them a little bit longer, but I was trying to see if I do the sleeves first at this point, will I have enough left to get it as long as I want? And no, not quite. So far, this has used 2 skeins, so 200 grams of this cotton yarn from Valeria di Roma. algodon top, so cotton top. And I think it's not quite long enough. I need another one. And of course, as I need another one to finish the length, I might as well make the sleeves a little bit longer as well. So that will happen once I actually get round to getting some more yarn. But when I showed this on the Spanish version, I think I only had, you start on the back, and I think I only had the back piece and like down to the 4th cable or something. I only had that. And since then, I've done all of this. Finished the back piece, started the front piece, joined it all together, started going in the round, did the sleeves. All of that since I showed it on the Spanish version of the podcast. But I can't quite finish it, so it's sitting in its bag again, waiting for me to get more yarn. But I do want to finish that. It was a really cute top and it looks really nice on, even though it hasn't been blocked. So I do want to finish that, but I need to get more yarn first. Then we've got the other thing that I did show on the Spanish podcast was in my Sevilla Deje bag, project bag. This is another experiment because I have this gorgeous yarn from this one from Dark Omen Yarn that he gave me at Sevilla Deje because he's just wonderful. Francesco is amazing and he's so lovely. And he gifted me this skein and it's just gorgeous and I didn't know what to do with it and I was like, it needs to be something beautiful. And I already excuse me, sorry. I already had a mohair from him that I'd bought at Madrid, which is this one, which it's a gorgeous grey, but it's got little touches of blue in there. I don't know if you can quite see, but there are touches of blue in there, and I thought these will go perfectly together. But what am I going to do with a DK and a mohair when I've only got one skein of each? So I don't know. So they were sitting there just staring at me for ages, and I was like, I really need to do something with them. I don't know what. And then I thought that maybe this lovely blue one would go nicely with the All You Knit Is Love skein, which has got yak in it, which is gorgeous, so soft, because it's got those nice blue speckles. So I thought maybe these two could go together and that could be brioche. This one I got in Love Yarn Madrid. So I could do something in brioche with those two, but I also wanted to put the mohair with it. I wanted the three together. And I had this idea in my head, which I think I showed you a little sketch of ages ago when I was, I had ideas of doing different tops. I'd like to do a top with like kind of cap sleeves, but quite floaty cap sleeves, mohair at the top, a brioche band across the chest, and then a really floaty, in this case it's going to be mohair again, bottom to it and down to the hem, but really floaty and open like A-line or something. I don't really know. But that was my idea, and I thought, I'm just going to give it a go. So I'm experimenting, which is slightly crazy, especially in mohair, because if I end up having to undo this, it's going to be a nightmare. But so far, I've got this in the mohair, which is just gorgeous. It's coming out so nicely, and it's so soft. So this is from Dark Omen Yarns. And I'm following, for the top bit, for the shoulders, I'm following the instructions from the Neve pattern by Isabel Kramer, because I made that sweater for a friend a couple of years ago and absolutely loved the shoulder construction. I think she called it contiguous shoulders. I'm not sure. But it's a method that I hadn't seen before. I hadn't tried in other things. I remember doing it in hers and I thought that would be perfect because it kind of sets up this line here for the shoulders as if they were set in almost. That's not right, is it? Set in. I don't know what the name is for all the different shoulders. But anyway, it has like a shoulder here and then it increases. So you're working the whole thing, the fronts and the back at the same time. And at some point when you come down low enough, you join in the middle at the front. So I thought that would be perfect for the shoulders of this thing. And then I can pick up around the armhole to do the floaty sleeves afterwards. And hopefully, I don't know exactly where to stop, but once I've joined, maybe just a couple of centimetres more in the round, just plain stockinette. And then I could switch to the DK ones and do a brioche band across the chest. And then switch back to the mohair to do the end. I don't know if any of this is going to work. I don't know how it's going, how it's going to happen. But I've got ideas in my head, so I'm experimenting. We'll see how it goes. But again, this hasn't seen any love for a little while. I was working on it for a little bit. And until I got the blanket pattern, maybe for a few days after I got the blanket pattern, but not much because I got addicted to the blanket very quickly. And when I stopped doing the blanket, I went back to the top that I showed you, but I didn't go back to this one. So this one's just been sat in a bag for a while. I will go back to it at some point, but because I'm experimenting and I don't really know what I'm doing, it's not really all that motivating. And what I really want at the moment, because that's also a top and it's now too cold, even if I do manage to do it and finish it, I'm not going to be able to wear it till next summer. So what I really want at the moment are new sweaters, jumpers. That's what I want. So the other two things that I showed on the Spanish version of the podcast were swatches for me, one for a sweater and one for a cardigan that I really wanted to get done because I want sweaters. But since then, I was watching Grocery Girls because I love Grocery Girls, and they were talking about the Tin Can Knits new app. If you haven't seen it, go and find it. It is fantastic. In this app, they've included 9 free patterns, which were free patterns anyway on Ravelry. But you can also go and you can connect your Ravelry account. So if you've already got other patterns of theirs, they'll appear. And you can buy more patterns through the app as well. But anyway, you choose the pattern. You can put in, as you go into it, you're not just reading a PDF like normal. It says, for example, I started the flax. That's what I'm about to show you. So I started the flax jumper, which I already had the pattern for, but I think it's a free one on there anyway. And I had some yarn that I was going to use for something else ages ago and gave up on. So I thought, well, that's perfect. I'll just do a flax. It's super easy. In the Aran weight version, it's going to be really quick. And then I'll actually have a new jumper that I can wear because now it's getting cold. So in the flax, you select your pattern, you go in and it says, right, which version do you want to do? Because that one in particular has it's written at 3 different weights. So I choose Aran weight. Then it says, do you want to start with the ribbing? Do you want to do the ribbing first or do you want to do the ribbing at the end? I was like, okay, ribbing first. So take that option. Then it will ask you for your sizes. It will ask you for your gauge and stuff, which needle size you want to do, which size are you going to knit. So then it only shows your size. There is an option for short rows for the back. So you say whether or not you want to do the short rows. And it just adapts the pattern so that at the end of the day, you are only seeing the instructions for your size, for your chosen options. And it's just brilliant. So I saw that and went, I've got this yarn, and I've got that pattern already. It's all ready to go. This is going to be super quick and easy. So for the last week, I started on Monday and today is Saturday. For the last week, all I've been doing is knitting this flax, which I absolutely am in love with. It's living in my Bee Splat bag from Mrs. Brown's Bags. Bee Splat is the name of the print. It's a nice canvas bag, which is from Canada because that's where the Grocery Girls and Mrs. Brown are. But I don't care because I was just in love with it and I had to have it. So that was at a point where I had money. Anyway, so my flax is living in there. I added an extra couple of inches, well, quite a few inches in fact, to the ribbing at the collar at the neck because I want it to kind of sit up here a little bit. I don't want it to be really open. The other flax that I did, which is now way too big for me because it was oversized when I worked it and I've lost a lot of weight since then. The collar is so open. It's like this Lidia Tee. It's like that, the collar on it. In fact, even worse because it's so big for me now. And I thought, all right, even if I'm working the right size, it's still going to be quite open and I don't really want that. So I just added extra inches. I didn't do any shaping or anything, just worked a few extra inches before I changed to the body. And I've done all of this in a week. So I've separated the sleeves and I've worked most of the body. We're supposed to get 15 inches from the underarm. So I haven't actually measured it, but I think I'm at about 10, 11 already. So I may just have a whole sweater done in a week. We shall see. I've got a day and a half. And I've only got to do a few more inches on the body and then a couple of inches of the hem and then the sleeves. So easy peasy. The flax is the one that has the garter panel on the sleeves, by the way. This panel is going to go all the way down the side of the sleeves. And it's simple and easy and just perfect. So that's what I've been addicted to this week and I have become monogamous again. Despite the fact that I have 6 projects in bags on needles. But that's the only one getting any love at the moment. Even the blanket hasn't been touched for a week. It's only been that jumper. I really want to finish it. The other 2 that I told you about that I'd done swatches for, One of them did get a little bit of love, the other one's been ignored, and to the point where I'm actually going, do I really want this anymore? So that one is living in my other bag by Amelia Maloca. This is a swatch for Volition by Patty Lyons. Now this is a video sweater class, because Patty Lyons does fantastic video sweater classes and I absolutely love them. Love her. She's just a fabulous teacher. She teaches you about the why of doing all the different things, not just how to do it, but why are you doing it that way, which I just think is fantastic. And I cast on this swatch about 2 months ago. And I worked that much of it in like one evening, maybe. And then I haven't touched it since. And every time I think about it since then, I think, do you know, I really want to do the video sweater class because I know I learn a lot from Patty. And this yarn I bought specifically for that pattern. It's the yarn it was designed in, and I had it sent over from America. So, you know, it was quite spenny, and, you know, I put in the investment for that particular sweater. I had actually knit the entire body. All it needed was sleeves, but that was like 2 or 3 years ago. And then when I went to finish it, even last year, it was already like a tent on me. It was way too big for me. And now it would have been even worse. So I undid it all, or rather I got Amelia to undo it for me. Last year we had a little knitting get together here, and her and somebody else undid it all for me because I was like, I can't face it. I put so much work into it, doing all the maths and, you know, swatching properly and all the rest of it and watching all the videos. I can't face undoing it. So they did it for me. And then it sat for most of the year just in its bag, all the yarn there. And I finally thought, no, I'm going to swatch again. Let's do it again, give it another go. And as I say, I got that couple of inches and then went, I don't know. I keep thinking about it going, I really don't want to have to put in all that work again when there are simple patterns like the flax that I can do in no time without having to really think about it. And I've kind of learned most of what I was going to learn from her the first time I did it. So it's not so much about the learning anymore either. Yes, the yarn is for that pattern, but it's also going to be perfectly good for other patterns. And I'm not sure I actually want that sweater anymore because the shape of it is something that I always used to gravitate to. But since I've lost some weight, I'm kind of leaning more towards slightly more fitted items these days, like this experimental top that I did. I'm kind of enjoying having stuff that's a little bit more fitted now that I'm feeling a little bit more confident about how I look. And that sweater, although it's gorgeous, is more of a kind of A-line shape, and you could add some shaping to the waist and to the hips and make it a little bit more fitted, but it's going to look a bit different, and I don't know if I want it anymore. And it's also a V-neck, quite a deep V-neck, which for some reason I was fine with before. I like that. I do like the V-neck style, but it's gotten so cold here so quickly that I just don't want V-necks anymore because I'm going to have to cover up with something else immediately anyway. And then you're not going to see the detail of that rib around the V-neck. So, I don't know. I've gone off the idea, and now I can't decide whether to continue with that swatch or not, whether to put in all the maths to do the sweater or not, whether to put it to something else. I keep seeing patterns from Vanessa Smith designs, which I'm absolutely in love with, and they are more form-fitting and gorgeous. And there's one in particular, which again is a V-neck, but it kind of does a crossover at the chest there, which I'm absolutely in love with, and I wonder whether this yarn would be good for that. So I don't know. So for the moment, it's just sitting there in its bag to be thought about, but not looked at. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know if I want to or not. And the other thing, finally, the last thing that I've got on the needles is in this huge bag from Lanas Ruby that was it was a prize for Knit in Public Day back in 2018 or something. I don't know, years ago anyway. The first one I ever went to here. Well, anywhere. I hadn't been to one previously. And this is all my Manchelope yarn from Wool Dreamers, which I bought in Sevilla Teje, not this year, the year before. Last year. That's what that works. Which is this gorgeous unspun yarn in natural colours. Oh, it's so squishy. Very, very delicate, but actually easier to work with than you might think. And it's sitting in here because they're big cakes. They call them quesos. They call them cheeses. But they're big round cakes, and they just fit perfectly in that size of bag. So I've got 3 and this. I did have 4 full cakes. So on the Spanish version, I just showed my swatch, which is this huge thing here. And then I went on a bit of a rant about swatching, which I'm not going to repeat today because we're already over an hour, and it's just silly. If you want to know more about swatching and how to swatch properly and things like that, go and learn from Patty Lyons. She's amazing. I've learned everything from her, and I get annoyed sometimes now with how other people swatch. And I go, but that's not going to help you. It's going to lie to you. Anyway, go and learn from her. She's got amazing resources. But anyway, I finished that swatch after the Spanish version of this episode, and I did actually then cast on for the cardigan and work all of this. This is the Sorgatees cardigan, which is the Patty Lyons pattern. Another video sweater class. It's an absolutely gorgeous pattern, and I have actually worked it once before. I made it for a friend in a different wool, and then he promptly went and washed it in the washing machine and shrunk it because he's stupid. Whatever. Not knitting for him again. I don't care. But this one is actually going to be for me now. And looking at it like this, I feel like it might actually be slightly too big. But I swatched correctly, you know, following Patty's advice, and I blocked it and I've measured it a million times because it's really difficult to measure your swatch in this colour yarn and in this particular pattern. It's really difficult to count. So I measured it a million times in different places on that swatch and chose my size accordingly. This should be the correct size. It looks slightly big, but I think because this is going to be the back piece, I think that it's going to end up stretching down and then obviously pull in slightly. And you've got to seam. This is a pieced pattern, so you're going to have to seam up the side, so that might also bring it in a little bit more. So I'm going to continue anyway. It should be the right size. If it's a little bit big, do you know what? So what? So it gets used more as a coat than a cardigan for indoors. I'm still going to wear it. It's still going to be nice and comfy and cozy. So I'm still going to do it. But again, you know, I worked on that a little bit for the last couple of weeks until Monday of this week when I started the flax, and then I've not touched anything else. It's just flax, because I want to see if I can do a whole sweater in a week. As I say, I've got a day and a half left. Let's see if I can do it. I think I can. So that is it for all the crafty stuff, all the knitting and crochet. As I say, it was a lot because it was a long summer of trying to finish off little things and clear things out. And then I got to a point where I felt I could just start again. And it really makes me happy starting new projects, but it also makes me really happy finishing projects. It's just the bit in the middle that I don't like sometimes. The other thing, sorry, wobbling the screen again. The other thing that I did a lot of in the summer, well, not a lot, but I did quite a bit of in the summer, when I didn't feel like having yarn in my hands, was colouring. So I wanted to show you these 2 books that I've got that are absolutely gorgeous. I think I might have mentioned them to you before, but I don't think I showed them. I know I showed lots of notebooks that I had for writing, but I don't think I showed my colouring books. So these are by Johanna Basford, who is based in Scotland. She's an illustrator, obviously, and she's created these colouring books for adults, which are just fantastic. The most beautiful line drawings for you to colour in. Absolutely gorgeous. And she's got various ones. I've got 2. I've got Enchanted Forest and Secret Garden. Very different books, but absolutely beautiful. She's also got Lost at Sea, which I really want, and a jungle one I don't remember the name of, which I also really want. And she's just brought out a new one. Actually, there's another one in between that I don't remember. There's something like Tiny Rooms or something, like little mini houses, which looks quite good. But she's just brought out another one, which I cannot remember the name of, but I know it's a brilliant little thing because it's about, it might even be called Small Victories. It's about small victories. So it's lots of, on every page you've got lots of individual little drawings so that you can feel like you can be colouring for half an hour and finish a whole thing. So you get that satisfaction of finishing something, which obviously feels really good. In these ones, it takes a while to finish one of the pages, and I've got quite a lot that I've started and haven't finished. This book is my favourite. I absolutely love this one, which is why it's looking a little bit tatty around the edges. I've had it since 2017 or something, maybe even earlier. But I love this because it kind of tells a story at the same time. I mean, it's all colouring and there is no words to it. Well, I've coloured various pages, but look, this book belongs to. Gorgeous. In this book, there are lots of different things that you can find. The idea is when you find it on the actual page, you then come back here and colour them all in. But I'm a rebel, so I coloured them all in to begin with. But anyway, there are also other things that you have to find that it doesn't tell you there that are going to be mysteries. But you get to this first double page, which is my favourite one in the book. I loved doing this, and I love how it looks now as well. And it actually works as a kind of map of the book. Because then as you move through the book, you realise there's a page with the maze, there's a page just of the bird, there's a page of these, there's a page of this underground thing, there's a page of the pond, there's a page of the river, there's a page of the boat, there's a page of this door, there's a page of just the mushrooms, there's a page of this house over here, of the owl, of the deer. You know, it's just like it's a map of everything you're going to find later on in the book. And I just think it's really clever how we move through. So I'll show you a couple of these that I've done. And I've learnt as I've gone, so techniques have changed. Some of them are done with pencil, some of them are done with crayons. I've got some transfer on some pages. You can see some colour there where they transferred over a little bit because, you know, I'm learning as I go about different techniques of how to do these things. They're all using different materials. Some are done with pens. This one I really like. I've done a kind of night and day thing there. Used almost an entire black pencil for that. But whatever. See, there's your owl. You've got a squirrel as well. And that was done with pen, which I quite like, actually. I quite like the effects of those pens. I don't know, I'm just experimenting, trying different things. And then we've got ones where I've started but not really got very far. I've got various blank pages in the middle that I haven't touched. I like my ice blue deer with the little birds on it. And some of these I like, some of them I don't, but generally it doesn't really matter. I still enjoy doing it, even if I don't like the end result. That one I really quite like. But then we're coming up to the crazy neons that I don't like anymore, but it was very much fun to do at the time. I had some crazy neon pens, I figured that'll do. So I went for it. It was a lot of fun to do at the time, but I don't like the end result anymore. This one I did with crayons. So I quite like because it gives a kind of, I don't know, a kind of speckled feel, mottled feel to the colours. This one I didn't finish either, but I really like the colour choices on it. Yeah, what else have we got? Neon-y pastel gel pens. You know, whatever I have. I've got so many different pens and colours and pencils and whatever else. So I pick and choose whatever I feel like doing at the time. Excuse me. That one was a lot of fun to do as well. What else? Oh yeah, and I like that one a lot. All the little bits. This is quite a good one for like small victories because you don't have to do the whole page. You can just do one little leaf at a time. And it's still relaxing and quite satisfying when you finish. Anyway, you go through this entire book, and now we've got to all the pages where I haven't really touched them. On the skull, I just filled in the eyes and the nose. So I haven't gone this far through the book really. This is one that I started the other day. Obviously, I only did a little bit, but it's just a really nice, relaxing thing to do. You don't have to think too much. Just grab a colour, and you know. Whatever. Right, anyway, then we get towards the end of the book when you're arriving at that castle that we saw in the map, right? So we come up to the door, we've got a padlock on the gate, in fact, and then we've got the doorknob, I suppose, I don't know, or the knocker, maybe. Oh, look, it's at the top of the gate. It's that bit. So then we have the full door, and in order to open the door, you need to have found 9 different tiles throughout the rest of the book, which each have a different symbol on. So the idea is by the time you reach this page, you've found the 9 symbols. Now you have to draw them here in order to open the door. And then it says, turn the page to discover what is hidden inside the castle. I'm going to show you because, you know, these books are from years ago. Everybody knows. Everybody's seen them all. So we get this beautiful double page here, and then they open out to the side to reveal the dragons on both sides. It's just brilliant. I love the way this book tells that there's this story and has this map, and you progress through the whole place as you go. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So I highly recommend that. And then the other one I've got, Secret Garden, is a little bit different. That one was the forest, so there's lots more, animals that you would find in the forest and much more trees and stuff. This is all about flowers, flowers everywhere. And in this one, it's not so much of a story. You still have things that you can find. I really like doing the first few pages. So you still have all of these things that you can find in the book. This one she didn't put for them to colour on this page, or whatever. But you've got gorgeous little garden scenes there, lots of different flowers. And it doesn't have the kind of map at the beginning. It's all this kind of thing, big circles full of different flowers. Most of the pages look like that. Obviously, there are some different ones. We've still got some animals. There's an owl there. We've got some that are just leaves. And she has various pages in this book where it's kind of unfinished. And it tells you to add different details. So like here it says, add inky details to the flowers and add more butterflies. There's another one that says, look here, create more topiary. And then we've got one for bees or something, I think. Look. So here you've got to go around the circle, and here you've got to fill in the circle with more vines and flowers. Fill the pots with plants and flowers. I've got some nice beetles there. I like my beetles. And where are the bees? Ooh, that's a nice one I started. I'd forgotten all about that. That's more like a mandala. Butterflies and flowers. There was one with bees. Where are the bees? Oh, I really like that one actually. Very simple, mostly just green on those little leaves, and then fill in the maze. But I really enjoyed doing that one. And this one gives me a real 70s vibe. I chose lots of browns and oranges and yellows, and it just feels 70s to me. I should finish that one. Anyway, where are the bees? Add some details, add more butterflies, lots more flowers. Here we go. So you've got one page with a sunflower, and it says add a swarm of bees all the way around, and then you've got one with a lantern and add all the moths all around. So it's a very different feel, this book, to the Enchanted Forest. I imagine that Lost at Sea and the Jungle one are also different. I haven't had the pleasure of looking through those, so I don't know how they work. Look, here even they've got continue the vine, and she's kind of got dotted lines for you to go over and then add more details to. So this one is encouraging you to draw as well. The other one is just about colouring, but it tells a story, and I just love it. So I highly, highly recommend those books by Johanna Basford. If you don't have them already, go and find them. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is going to have to be quick because I'm really losing the light and it's going to go horrible, is that we are now in November, which is National Novel Writing Month. There you go, you can see I was a winner in 2013. National Novel Writing Month is something that started somewhere in the States in 2005, I believe. It just started as a little challenge to kind of, somebody wanted to write a book and he wanted to get all his friends involved. He was like, do this challenge with me. It in fact started in July, but then they changed it to take advantage of the cold weather. So it's become November. And the idea is that for the 30 days of November, starting at midnight, 1 minute past midnight, the 1st of November, until midnight on the 30th of November, you write 50,000 words of a novel. And it's just to encourage creativity, encourage people to write, to get into a routine of writing every day, especially because, we all make excuses of, I don't have time for this, or I don't have time for that, or you've got writer's block and you don't know how to get over it. So the whole thing is just to encourage creativity. But it's grown so much. Obviously, it started out as National Novel Writing Month. Now it's international. It's the whole world, basically. And it started out just as that, kind of encouraging each other. It's grown into this huge community, and they sell merchandise like the winner t-shirts. You don't really win anything, and this isn't like a prize. I had to pay for it. I had to buy it. It's just you win bragging rights, basically, to say I wrote 50,000 words in a month. I think I won 3 times, maybe 4 times, but I think I only bought 2 t-shirts. But all the money that they raise from the merchandise that they sell, and all the other different things they do, goes towards buying materials for schools in various places, and other things. I don't know everything that they do, but you know, it's turned into this big charity thing, and they do all this fundraising, and it goes to help school children in particular. And it's just a brilliant thing. I got into this, as you can see there, I won in 2013. I think I started in 2011. My sister got me into it. Got me into it. And I just fell in love with it completely. I was one of those who, you know, I don't know how to write a story. I don't know how to plan. I don't know how to do beginning, middle, and end. I know that's what it needs, but I don't know how to plan that and decide on what it's going to be before I start writing. I'm no good at writing. Why would I? And she badgered me into trying. And just went, it's just fun. Just try it. You know, give it a go. And she bought me all sorts of resources to help me choose characters and to help me develop the plot a little bit, throw in extra strange things, and gave me writing prompts as well. So you get this sort of sentence and you just have to write about it and see what comes out. And I discovered that I really enjoyed writing, actually, as long as I didn't have to be like, it had to have a certain structure, or you know, it had to finish. Just being able to write with no pressure and no limits, just see what comes out. And it may or may not be finished, but at least you're writing and you're using your creativity and you know, developing your imagination. It was so much fun. And apart from anything else, they have all these little meetups everywhere, which I'm kind of missing this year, because it's not as big in Spain. There are lots of people in Spain, but it's not as big, and there isn't a community here in Granada, which I would love to sort out. But the only way you can get a community in your area is if you volunteer to be the kind of leader for that area, which I'm not really willing to take on that job. It's quite a big job, so no. But anyway, there's this whole community around it. There's lots of things going on online, people chatting to each other. When I started, I was living in Manchester, and we would meet up every week, every Friday night. We would go to this big space in Manchester. We'd have this massive room with all different tables laid out, and we'd all sit down there with our laptops and be writing. And there would be tea and biscuits and stuff available, and people would bring in different snacks to share. And you just, like, you come in, you're all just writing together on your own stories. You're just writing. And for a while, it'll all be pretty quiet. All you can hear is the keyboard, the keys tapping away. And then out of nowhere, someone would either get frustrated with what they're writing, or they'd have a question for somebody else, or they want to bounce an idea around or something. Out of nowhere, this conversation would pop up in one area of the room. And sometimes it would just fizzle out very quickly. But other times it would end up like bouncing around the room, and people would be commenting on it from all different areas. And suddenly you've got the whole room is talking about these different things, and you're finding out about people's different stories and stuff, and giving each other suggestions and things. And then it would just kind of fizzle out and die, and then you'd be back in silence again, and everybody would be typing. And I just loved the dynamics of this, and I really was missing it. When I moved to Spain, I think I tried to continue for the first couple of years, but it didn't really go very well. And I think one year I only wrote about 20,000 words. One year I did get to 40 something, but I just wasn't getting to the 50,000. And I kept thinking, I've got too much work now. I don't have the time to do it, and I don't really know what to write anymore. And I've lost the community. I don't have them around here anymore. So it's not the same. It's not as much fun. So I'm not going to do it. But this year, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of all the ideas of studying stuff over the summer, got me in a different mindset about creativity and stuff. But I was just really missing it. And I thought, I'm going to have to do it again. So I've taken on the challenge, and I've been writing for the first week, dedicated every day. In fact, the 1st of November here is a holiday. So I had the whole day. I got 5,000 words done in a day. You only have to do 1,667 a day to reach 50,000 by the end of the month. So I did 5,000 in one day, 2,000 the next day, and then it kind of petered out from there. And for the first week, I was doing something every day. Even if it was only a little bit, I was doing something every day, and I was just slowly losing that buffer. And then Thursday night, I was busy all day Thursday, working till late, and then we went out for drinks afterwards, and by the time we got home, it's like 11 o'clock. I'm like, I've got an hour to do some writing before I lose my streak, and I just couldn't get into it. So it didn't happen. So I lost my streak, and then because I lost my streak yesterday, I was like, I can't be bothered. Didn't do any writing yesterday either. I haven't yet today, but I'm not giving up. We're only a week in, and I'm only like maybe 2,000 words behind because I had such a buffer at the beginning. So I'm going to get back into it. And I got back in touch with the Manchester group that I used to be part of when I was there, and they've allowed me to be an honorary member of their group. So I'm on their online servers and stuff on Discord and chatting away, and it's been really nice catching up with these people, and we're still having those little conversations online about, you know, passing ideas back and forth and pushing each other on, you know, and it's so much fun. So again, it's something I wanted to tell you guys about. If you're interested at all in writing, please look into this National Novel Writing Month. And they also do a camp thing in April or July. Maybe they both do both. They might do April and July. Can't remember. But anyway, the main thing is November, and it is so much fun, especially if you can get in a community. So please have a look at that, and just, you know, keep being creative in your different ways, whether it's colouring, whether it's writing, whether it's knitting, whether it's crochet, whatever it is that you do, please keep being creative. And I think we'll leave it there because it's nearly an hour and a half. So, and I'm losing the light. Thank you so much for watching me again. I hope you've enjoyed my rambling. I'm sorry it's been so long. I'll try to get on again. But as you've seen, I did the Spanish version of this episode 3 weeks ago. It's taken me 3 weeks to get around to doing the English version. So it may be a while before I get around to doing another video, but I will try to do another one at least before December. There are more things I want to tell you about, but I'm trying to stick to what I told you, what I told other people in the Spanish video. I've added one extra thing, I think, which is the flax jumper, but otherwise I think everything else that I've said today is what I said in the Spanish version. So new things I'm going to save till next time. I'll talk to you next time. So thank you again so much for watching. Keep creating and see you soon, I hope. Bye.